I'm 65, and I avoid people now. Here's why turning 65 has brought a wave of clarity into my life about time, relationships, and what truly matters. For much of my life, I was the person who always showed up. I was there for friends, family, neighbors, anyone who needed me. I took pride in being dependable, in being the one others could lean on. But somewhere along the way, I started to notice something. Not every connection I was pouring energy into was good for me. Some relationships began to feel one-sided, draining, or simply unnecessary. And that realization changed everything. Now, I find myself stepping back, not from love or kindness, but from noise, from unnecessary obligations, from relationships that no longer serve a purpose in this stage of life. It's not about bitterness. It's not about resentment. It's about protecting my peace, guarding my time, and focusing on what matters most. In this video, I want to share the heartfelt lessons that led me here. We'll talk about why time feels more precious than ever, how relationships naturally evolve, and how solitude, far from being lonely, has become a wellspring of peace and joy. If this resonates with you, or even challenges the way you see your own life, you're exactly where you need to be. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Elders Health Essentials, your gentle guide to aging with wisdom, grace, and clarity. Now, let's dive in. 1. Time feels more precious than ever. At 65, one thing is absolutely clear. Time is no longer something I take for granted. When we're young, time seems endless. We waste hours on conversations that go nowhere, relationships that offer no nourishment, and obligations we accept simply because we don't want to disappoint others. But now, every single moment feels sacred. This shift doesn't come from fear. It comes from wisdom. Time is no longer just a number on a clock. It's a lens through which I view my entire life. Mornings feel more meaningful. A simple walk in the park, or sipping coffee while watching the sunrise, holds a quiet joy I never noticed before. The world hasn't changed, but I have. And with that shift comes a powerful question I now ask myself often. Is this worth my energy? If something or someone doesn't align with my values, bring me joy, or add meaning to my life, I no longer feel the need to hold on. Saying no has become an act of self-respect, not selfishness. One of the most important changes I've made is simplifying my relationships. I don't say yes to every invitation, and I don't force small talk just to be polite. Instead, I seek meaningful conversations and genuine connection. A quiet afternoon with someone who truly understands me is far more rewarding than a crowded room full of shallow interactions. This isn't isolation, it's intention. I've started to treat time like a trusted friend, gently reminding me to slow down, choose wisely, and savor the moments that matter. I no longer chase time, I honor it. If you're feeling this shift too, know that it's natural and it's powerful. There's no rule book for how to spend your later years. But here's what I've learned. Protect your time. Fill it with peace, with purpose, and with people who uplift your spirit. When you treat time like the treasure it is, everything changes. 2. Relationships change, and so do we. Something else becomes clearer with age. Relationships evolve, and that's not a failure. It's life. At one point in my life, I thought being a good person meant always being available. I remembered every birthday, went to every gathering, and reached out, even when I was exhausted. I believed that loyalty meant never letting go. But here's what life has taught me. Not all relationships are equal. Some nourish you, others quietly wear you down. Over the years, I've experienced the full range of human connection, deep friendships, painful betrayals, quiet goodbyes, and joyful reunions. I've been hurt by people I trusted, and I've grown apart from people I once considered family. For a long time, I took these changes personally. I asked myself, what did I do wrong? Could I have tried harder? But now I see it differently. People change. I've changed. And sometimes, the kindest and wisest thing you can do, for yourself and for them, is to let go. These days I focus on relationships that feel mutual. I ask, does this person bring light into my life? Do they respect my time, my values, my journey? If the answer is yes, I welcome that bond with open arms. But if not, I release it, without anger and without regret. My circle has grown smaller, but it has grown richer. The people in my life now are those who truly matter, the ones who accept me as I am, who share in both the joys and the quiet moments. There's no more pretending, no more performing, just connection, real and honest. That doesn't mean I don't feel moments of nostalgia. I still think about friends I've lost touch with, or family members whose paths took them in different directions. But instead of sadness, I feel gratitude. Those relationships were part of my story, and I honor them, even if they no longer fit in the present chapter. So if you're holding on to a relationship out of guilt or habit, I invite you to reflect. Ask yourself if that connection still serves you. And if it doesn't, give yourself permission to let go. You deserve relationships that feel like homes, not like obligation. 3. Trust becomes more complex. And finally, let's talk about trust. Trust is one of the most delicate threads that binds us to others. At 65, I've come to understand just how sacred it is and how easily it can be broken. In my younger years, I trusted quickly and deeply. I gave people the benefit of the doubt. I opened my heart, shared my time, and offered my loyalty freely. That kind of openness created many beautiful moments, but it also exposed me to heartbreak. I've learned that trust, once broken, doesn't always return, and even when it does, it's never quite the same. 3. Trust becomes more complex. Over the years, I've been let down by people I never imagined would hurt me. A friend who seemed to care, but only when they needed something. A family member whose choices created distance between us, choices I couldn't control or fix. Even a colleague I worked closely with, who chose personal gain over a vision we once shared. These experiences changed the way I approach trust. They didn't make me bitter, but they did make me more cautious. Nowadays, when someone new enters my life, my first instinct isn't to ask, how can I connect with this person? Instead, I find myself wondering, what are their intentions? It's not always easy to live this way, to lead with caution, but it's necessary. And here's what I've come to understand. Trust isn't just about how we see others. It's also about how we see ourselves. Learning to trust my own instincts has been one of the most important lessons of my later years. If something doesn't feel right, I no longer dismiss it as overthinking or paranoia. I pay attention. I listen to that quiet inner voice that often knows the truth before my mind catches up. I've walked away from relationships that didn't feel safe or supportive, even if they were long-standing, because I've learned that protecting my peace is worth the discomfort of letting go. That said, trust is still possible. It hasn't disappeared. It's just taken a different form. These days, I find trust in small, genuine moments. A kind stranger who offers help without expecting anything. A neighbor who checks in when the weather turns rough. These acts remind me that while trust is delicate, it's not impossible to rebuild. The key lies in balance. It's about setting boundaries, not building walls. It's about giving trust gradually to those who earn it through consistency, kindness, and respect, not just promises. So, if you found yourself more guarded with age, please know this. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. Protecting your trust is a form of self-care. It doesn't mean you're closed off. It means you're valuing yourself enough to be selective. And at this stage in life, that's exactly how it should be. The world has changed, and so have our values. At 65, it's impossible not to notice how much the world has transformed. Life today feels faster, busier, and more technology-driven than ever. We're more connected digitally, but somehow more distant emotionally. In many ways, these advancements are remarkable. I'm grateful that I can video chat with my grandchildren, access information with a tap, and even reconnect with old friends online. But in all this progress, something meaningful feels like it's been lost. Something warm, simple, and deeply human. I remember a time when relationships were built face to face, when neighbors were more than just people living next door. They were friends. We'd stop by unannounced, share stories over coffee, and genuinely know one another. Family time was frequent and sacred, not squeezed between meetings or screen time. Being together wasn't scheduled. It just happened. Today, that sense of simplicity feels rare. People are constantly chasing goals, ticking off to-do lists, and managing a stream of distractions. Conversations that were once heartfelt are now hurried. Text messages replace meaningful talks. Even time with loved ones is often limited by distance or competing priorities. And while technology has made many aspects of life more convenient, it has also made it harder to be present. A screen can connect us, but it can also come between us. There's something irreplaceable about sitting across from someone, hearing their voice unfiltered, and sharing space in real time. Sometimes I find myself longing for that slower, more intentional rhythm of life. A life not dominated by pings, updates, and constant noise. The world feels louder than ever, and yet many of us feel more isolated than ever before. That's a paradox worth reflecting on. But I don't say this to resist change or idealize the past. Every generation faces its own unique challenges. Instead, I choose to respond by simplifying my life. I step away from the rush and return to what feels real: heartfelt conversations, quiet moments, and meaningful relationships. If you feel the same, know that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to choose presence over productivity, depth over distraction. Simplifying doesn't mean giving up. It means holding on to what truly matters. In a world that constantly demands more, choosing less but better is an act of courage. 5. Solitude isn't loneliness. One of the most liberating insights I've gained in this chapter of life is understanding that solitude and loneliness are not the same thing. In my younger years, I often feared being alone. Silence felt empty, and solitude seemed like something to avoid. But now, I see it differently. I've come to embrace solitude as a friend, not a punishment. Solitude offers space for reflection. It allows me to hear my own thoughts without the background noise of the world. It gives me time to do the things I love, whether that's reading, walking, journaling, or simply watching the birds in the garden. I no longer feel the need to constantly be surrounded by people to feel complete. Instead, I find strength in my own company. I've discovered that being alone doesn't mean being unloved. It means being grounded, comfortable in your own skin, and confident in your path. Of course, there are moments when I miss the liveliness of busy households or spontaneous gatherings, but solitude has taught me to find joy in stillness, to cherish the peace that comes from within. If you've felt alone lately, I want you to consider this. Maybe it's not loneliness you're feeling. Maybe it's the quiet invitation of solitude, an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. Loneliness is an ache, an emptiness that lingers in the background, born from a longing for connection. Solitude, on the other hand, is something entirely different. It's not an absence, it's a presence, a space for peace, for reflection, and for renewal. It's not something I fear anymore. It's something I welcome. In solitude, I've found a kind of clarity that's hard to reach in the rush of daily life. There's a quiet beauty in simple moments, sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea, listening to the wind in the trees, or watching the sun melt into the horizon. These aren't just ways to pass time. They're ways to enrich it, to notice the gentle joys life still has to offer. In these quiet hours I reflect, not with regret, but with gratitude. I no longer dwell on what could have been. Instead, I think about the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the memories that still make me smile. Solitude has given me a chance to look inward and to make peace with the life I've lived. And here's the surprise. It's actually deepened my appreciation for others. It's helped me let go of relationships I maintained out of habit or guilt, and instead, focus on those that are sincere. When I do spend time with loved ones, I'm more present, more attentive. I savor it. Solitude has also taught me how to value myself. For years, I believed that being surrounded by people meant I mattered, that a busy social calendar reflected self-worth. But now I know, my worth isn't defined by how many people I know. It's defined by how well I know myself. So, if you've ever feared being alone, I encourage you to shift that perspective. Solitude isn't a punishment, it's a gift, a chance to listen to your own thoughts, to pursue what brings you peace, and to reconnect with your core self. It's in the stillness that we often find the most strength. In solitude, you can let go of pressure and distraction. You can focus on the life you want to live, not the one others expect. It's not isolation, it's intention. And in those quiet, unhurried moments, you might just discover a deeper fulfillment than you ever imagined. 6. Why I avoid people. Now. This may sound surprising, but I avoid people more now, not out of bitterness, but out of love for my own peace. Over the years, I've come to realize that not every connection is meant to last, and not every social obligation deserves my time or energy. In my younger years, I prided myself on always being available. I wanted to be reliable, helpful, kind, the dependable friend, the family member who always showed up. And for a while, that filled me with purpose. But over time, I began to notice something. I was giving so much to others, I had little left for myself. Some people took my kindness for granted. Some relationships became one-sided, draining me instead of filling me. And I ignored the signs because I thought loyalty meant staying even when it hurt. But now, I see things more clearly. Avoiding certain people isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's protecting my emotional space from those who bring stress, drama, or negativity. Life is simply too short to carry relationships that weigh you down. I've traded the noise of constant interaction for the peace of selective connection. I no longer stretch myself thin to meet every expectation. I focus on a smaller, more meaningful circle. Relationships built on mutual respect, shared values, and emotional ease. No drama, no pretense, just genuine connection. And yes, I avoid people who thrive on conflict, who never ask how I'm doing, who only reach out when they need something. I say no more often. I skip events that feel like obligations instead of joy. And I've found that in doing so, I feel lighter, freer, and more aligned with who I really am. Avoiding people doesn't mean giving up on humanity. It means choosing what and who you allow into your world. It's about protecting your energy, honoring your growth, and seeking relationships that uplift instead of drain. In making that choice, I've discovered a level of happiness I didn't think was possible. 7. Is this a shared experience? Have you ever found yourself wondering, am I the only one who feels this way? The truth is, you're not. Everything I've shared, from becoming more selective with trust, to valuing simplicity, to embracing solitude, and stepping away from certain people, these are not just personal reflections. They're part of a larger shared experience, especially as we age. So many of us reach this stage of life and begin to see things differently. We learn to protect our time, our energy, our hearts. We seek peace over popularity, depth over distraction. We realize that less can truly be more. Fewer friends, but deeper bonds. Fewer obligations, but more meaning. And it's not because we're giving up. It's because we're waking up. If any of this resonates with you, know this: you're not alone. You're part of a quiet, powerful shift. A generation of people who are choosing clarity over chaos, presence over performance, and purpose over pressure. And in doing so, we're not isolating ourselves. We're finally coming home to who we really are. 7. Am I the only one who feels this way? As I've grown older, I've asked myself that question many times. Am I the only one who feels this way? Especially as I've become more selective about the people I allow into my life. But the more I talk to others my age, the more I realize this isn't just my story. It's a shared experience. Life teaches us valuable, often difficult lessons about relationships, priorities, and self-worth. For decades, I tried to meet everyone's expectations. I wanted to be the dependable friend, the supportive family member, the helpful neighbor who always showed up. And while there was meaning in that, there was also a cost. I poured so much of myself into others that I had very little left for me. When I talk to peers, I hear the same theme again and again. Many of us have reached a point where we no longer feel the need to be everything to everyone. We're choosing quality over quantity. The superficial connections that may have once seemed important now feel hollow. What we seek now are genuine conversations, shared laughter, and relationships that truly feel authentic. This shift isn't always easy. Letting go can feel like losing a part of yourself. Saying no to people who once relied on you may seem selfish, but it's not. It's self-preservation. The truth is, we can't be everything to everyone, and trying to do so only leaves us drained. By stepping back, we create space for the kinds of relationships that nourish us rather than deplete us. And if you've felt this too, know that you're not alone. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond are making similar choices. It's not about shutting people out. It's about seeking peace, clarity, and living a life centered on what truly matters. If you found yourself letting go of relationships that no longer serve you, that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. It's a sign you're learning to value your time, your energy, and your peace. Letting go opens the door for deeper, more meaningful connections. At this stage of life, it's not about how many people stand around you. It's about the quality of those who do. If this resonates with you, take comfort in knowing you're part of a quiet movement, one rooted in authenticity, simplicity, and self-respect. Together, we're learning to embrace a life that's more fulfilling, more intentional, and beautifully our own. 8. Embracing this chapter of life. Life isn't about endings. It's about new beginnings. At 65, I've discovered that this stage of life is less about proving myself to others and more about embracing who I've become. It's about letting go of what no longer serves me and focusing on what truly brings peace, purpose, and joy. There's a special kind of freedom that comes with this realization. When we're young, we often live in a rush, constantly chasing goals, driven by the idea that the future holds all the answers. But as time passes, we learn that the present is what truly matters. This chapter is about simplicity. It's about finding happiness in the little things, the warmth of morning sunlight streaming through the window, sharing a laugh with a dear friend, the comfort of a quiet moment in a favorite chair. These moments might seem small, but they carry a depth that can't be measured. They remind us that life's richest treasures are often hidden in its simplest pleasures. It's also a time for reflection. When I look back, I see my life as a tapestry, some threads bright and joyful, others darker and painful. But every piece has shaped me. Reflection allows me to honor my journey without clinging to it. It's not about living in the past, but appreciating the lessons it gave me. And most importantly, this chapter isn't just about looking back. It's about looking forward. There is still time to create, to learn, and to grow. Whether it's trying a new hobby, nurturing a garden, or simply savoring quiet moments, there is beauty in knowing that this stage still holds potential and promise. What makes this time so special is the freedom it brings, the freedom to say no to what drains us, and yes, to what brings us joy. The courage to live authentically, to let go of judgment, and to accept that simply being is enough. If you're in this season of life, I encourage you to embrace it fully. Let go of the noise. Let go of the pressure. Focus on what truly matters. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. Some of the most peaceful and fulfilling moments come when we stop chasing and start appreciating. This chapter is yours to write. Fill it with simplicity, with gratitude, and with joy. Closing thoughts. Avoiding people at this stage of life isn't about shutting the world out. It's about protecting the peace we've worked so hard to find. Life at 65 isn't an ending. It's a chance to live with more intention than ever before. To center your days around what truly matters, meaningful relationships, quiet joy, and a sense of inner calm. It's not about bitterness. It's not about regret. It's about freedom. The freedom to let go of toxic connections, the freedom to release unnecessary obligations, the freedom to stop living by others' expectations and start living for you. This journey hasn't always been easy. There have been challenges, heartbreaks, and lessons learned the hard way. But those lessons brought clarity, and that clarity has brought peace. If you've been feeling this shift too, if you've been craving quiet, simplicity, and truth, know that you're not alone. You're choosing something rare and beautiful, a life that prioritizes joy over obligation and peace over pressure. Let this be the chapter where you live boldly, love deeply, and savor each moment as it comes.